Welcome to the unknown, a place where ghosts, cryptids, and extraterrestrials are sought. This is where you'll find answers to questions about what lurks in the dark. This is Periscope Uncensored.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Periscope Uncensored here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Alabama. I'm your host, Clarissa Vasquez. My sidekick this evening is running a little bit late, but he will be joining us later in the show. But before we get the show underway, I do want to ask that everybody take a moment to send their happy thoughts and well wishes, positive energies, and prayers, if that's your style, to a member of our WBHM family, Denise Pridemore from Paranormal Pride. They had a tragedy in their family this morning. It is never, ever easy to lose a loved one, but to lose someone so young makes it all that much harder. So if everyone could please just send Denise your well wishes and your happy thoughts, I know that would be appreciated. And from the bottom of our hearts here at Periscope, to Denise and your family, we love you. We're pulling for you. And if there's anything we can do, please don't hesitate to call on us. And with that, we have got a great show lined up for you tonight, folks. We are going to have on, after our first break of the evening, we're going to have Chad Dye from Erie Shores Paranormal. He's going to be talking about this amazing event that they have coming up, Midwest Parafest. And I'm really excited to talk to him about that, learn about the event. They've got some amazing speakers lined up. And unfortunately, I'm not one of them. You guys know that I do a lot of conferences, a lot of conventions, a lot of Paracons and stuff. I'm not on the bill for this one, but I happened to stumble across this event on one of those, promote your paranormal event promotion pages on Facebook. And it looked so cool that I reached out and I said, hey, come on the show and let's talk about this. Let's let the listeners know what you guys have going on, because just by looking at the guest lineup and everything, this is going to be an amazing event, folks. And I am so excited to get Chad on the line here later in the show and learn more about this event, learn about Erie Shores Paranormal. It's going to be great. I'm super stoked about this. And I think you guys will be too. I really do. And of course, next week on Periscope Uncensored, it's going to be a very, very special event, because Jax and I will actually be broadcasting from the same location, if you can believe it. We're used to broadcasting from 2,000 miles apart. But next week, we're going to be broadcasting from the same location, from the same room. We got all the logistics figured out as to how the heck we're going to do that. And we're going to have Bob Fountain on the show. And this guy, he and I go way back to my days on a completely different network. When Periscope was on, Periscope's been around for years, but when Periscope was on a different network, I first met Bob. And Bob has got stories. He knows about investigation locations that make veteran investigators quit the business. They are that scary. So we'll have Bob Fountain on the show next week. And of course, coming up on Hidden World on Tuesday, I won't be there on Hidden World, but Chris is going to be talking to Sorceress Cagliostro. And they're going to be talking about sorcery and magic and witchcraft and all kinds of stuff like that. And I do believe that filling in for me that night will be Seraphine Hurley, who is the host of Tripping the Void here on WBHM. I believe that was confirmed today that Seraphine's going to fill in for me next week. So definitely tune in. You guys are going to have to listen to Hidden World and then send me a report card. Let me know how they did without me being there, because I'm going to be traveling. I'm leaving on a jet plane. I'm so excited. And, really, how many different ways can I say I'm excited? I can't wait. But And folks, if you're listening via Spreaker or one of our other internet affiliates or apps, come on over to wbhm-db.com where you can pop into our chat room. Not only can you listen to the show live there, but you can pop into our chat room and talk to like-minded and sometimes not so like-minded individuals. Uh, Always a great time in the chat room. I'm in there. Our station manager, Kat Hobson, is in there. And in fact, Chad from Midwest Parafest is in the chat room already. So if you've got questions for us or for our guests, you're more than welcome to put them into chat, and we'll do our very best to get your questions on the air. We may even open up the phone lines later on. And if we do that, I will preface that by saying we do have caller ID. And if you prank call us, we will broadcast your number on the air. So just saying, we have no shame. You decide you want to prank call us, we'll prank you right back. We'll just make your number public. How's that sound? I like that idea. I'm evil like that. Well, depending on who you ask. But strange and paranormal news. I really don't know of any strange and paranormal news going on, other than there's a meme floating around on social media right now because the weather in the Midwest and now the East Coast has been so cold. The temperatures like minus 45 with the wind chill. It's actually killing people in the Midwest. But there is a meme floating around on Facebook that is two pairs of jeans standing up in the snow, no bodies. It's just the jeans, frozen jeans standing up. And the captions read, "It is so cold that even the ghosts are putting pants on." So, which is, I think it's kind of funny. And yeah, Kat just posted in the chat room that she loves that meme. And I do too. I think it's kind of funny. And so, excuse me. And in fact, I think I'm going to bring Kat on the line here just so we can chat a little bit before we bring our guest on, because Jax is still having some issues and he's not on with us yet. It never fails. The technical issues always happen on show nights.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. I hate it when that happens, but that's life. That's live radio.
It is live radio, and while it makes you drink sometimes, it's still a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and it's better that I bring you on and talk to you, because I made it a whole 7 minutes though, but I was getting to the point where like, I'm going to sing you guys a song and, and tell you more about how excited I am for my trip.
Well, as long as you don't go into the details of the planned activities for your trip, I think we'd probably be all right.
Yeah, the details are, I'm not going to, if it was on Hidden World, I may allude to some of the details from my trip, but this is Periscope, not Hidden World. So
true that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I do know that you're going to be doing a show live actually with the men known as Jax. And I think it's going to be neat because it's going to go smoothly. There'll be nothing, everything will be wired with y'all right there together. The energy is going to be there.
Yeah, we're using my computer, not his.
And the energy is going to be so good.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And we've got a great guest for next week too, which is going to make it all that much more fun. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm not disclosing the location where we'll be broadcasting from. But all I'm going to say is I really hope that hotel Wi-Fi, because I have to pay for the Wi-Fi where we're staying. I really hope the hotel Wi-Fi is worth what I'm paying for it.
I hope so too. But, it's really been fun having y'all join us here at WBHM. Y'all do a fantastic job. It's just a good thing.
Yeah, we love being on this network. All of the shows are great. All of the show hosts are great. We have never felt more welcome you guys just brought us in and treated us like family, and it wasn't like, let me tell you what to do and let me hold your hand. It's like, now you guys know what you're doing, go do your thing. And and we like that, and we appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome.
So,
But y'all have done shows for a while. All of y'all have experience.
mhm.
So if I had needed to hold your hand, you wouldn't have enjoyed yourself nearly as much.
No, we wouldn't. There would have been a little more butting of heads than there has been. Um, but that's a sidebar conversation. But
Well, that's simply
and
learning each other.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And
that's not an issue.
yeah, and you brought over, I think, 5 shows from our old network.
5
Um,
shows.
yeah, and one of them is starting tomorrow.
2 of
2 of them are starting tomorrow. Okay, I
the
was only aware of
Seraphine,
Tripping the Void.
the Seraphine starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Maliks are also. We'll have
Oh,
Paraversal Universe
Paraverse
starting at
Universe.
4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, and we will have Seraphine starting, if I'm not mistaken, at 10 Central. Nope, 10 Eastern tomorrow night.
10 Eastern. Okay.
So
So
10
Tripping the
p.
Void with Seraphine. Yep. Seraphine, Tripping the Void with Seraphine Hurley. I have been on that
Excuse me.
show. That is an amazing show. Seraphine is so knowledgeable. And
And she's just a
unlike,
nice person.
yeah, oh, she's amazing. She's amazing. And unlike me, she can sit and talk by herself for 2 hours, without a guest and without a co-host. She can do it. I cannot. I need somebody else to talk to. That's why, even though I live alone, that's why I have a cat. You know. So I'm just not.
And you have a chatty cat.
I do have a chatty cat, and he's actually downstairs sleeping right now. But
Well, I've enjoyed listening to him because he does enjoy putting his 2 cents worth in.
he does. And he has no qualms about telling me when it's time to go to bed.
I have a husband like that.
Yeah.
But he just says when he's going to bed, which was about like 45 minutes ago.
Nope. Bubba Lou will come upstairs and get in my face and meow at me. And, sometimes I'm busy. Sometimes I'm on a Skype call, taking care of business, or talking to somebody, and he will get in my face and tell me it is time for bed. And it's like, no, if you want to go to bed, you go to bed. I need to stay up for a while and finish what I'm doing. And no, he doesn't have it. He's a major pain in my butt sometimes.
Like my husband.
Yeah.
I kid. Everyone who knows me knows that I am just madly in love, but we do keep different schedules.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so funny because he is not one to really go out and do the social thing, and I had invited him to a haunted doll party to be my escort.
Really?
Because, oh my God, I drove home from a restaurant yesterday. It was my first time driving since, pre-accident. And my daughter-in-law was a little scared.
Mm-hmm.
But we made it in one piece, not too many dents in the car, somebody else's car. And,
Oh, good.
it was so liberating. So liberating. I was like, look at me go. So
Yeah.
I don't really need a driver now, but he was like, I'll go and I'll have fun and smile and everything if you really need me to. And I thought, you are the sweetest man. Because, he is completely supportive, but he is not into the paranormal.
And this was a haunted doll party?
Yes, one of my investigation team members is just a rabid haunted doll collector. He has 2 dolls from the Island of the Dolls. And
Wow.
I think he's getting a 3rd. But his house is just full. He has a couple of haunted objects that are from investigations that we had to remove from homes.
Mm-hmm.
He became quite well learned on sealing and binding when he started taking stuff home. But he does a fantastic job. His name is Kevin Kane, and he has some books on that subject. One is called Patty Doll, and the other is called My Haunted Collection. And he's got several other books as well, but those were the ones about his dolls. And he's just brilliant. And they don't spook him at all.
Wow.
He's brave and fierce.
So what did this party consist of then?
Well, you can interact with his dolls if they're so inclined. The first time I went, it was a little bit nerve-wracking because I didn't know what to expect.
Okay.
And it wasn't at all terrifying. They were very friendly. The mood of the whole house is very friendly, and I cannot tell you how many hundreds of dolls this man has.
Okay.
There's a lot. And his very first one is Patty Doll, and I'll have him on soon, and you can hear him, but I've got a show that I did with him shortly after I started hosting Fate Magazine Radio. And he is just an interesting guy with this stuff. I was so surprised. Actually, he was on my very first episode. So that would be the Jock Brackus and Kevin Kane show. It was September 23rd. But just amazing. And like he posted the other day in our group chat that he was thinking about getting a portrait that the subject of transitions and kind of morphs overnight. And I was like, I don't think I'd mess with that one. and it was a good read. You know, several of our team members have different things like that. The woman who founded our team is a really terrific author. And one of her books was the subject of a Paranormal Witness season premiere episode. So,
okay.
And it was about a voodoo preacher. It was fairly close to the reality of that case. They did a pretty good job with it.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was just like, oh no. If that had been my first case, I would not have done it anymore.
Right?
Really, I'm not kidding. I'm brave and strong, and I would not have done that anymore. So it was fearsome. But she is unflappable. She's very confident and comfortable. And it makes me feel very confident and comfortable investigating as a team.
That's awesome.
You know,
you have to have that comfort level.
You do. Everybody brings their own strength.
Trust. Yeah. You know, I've been investigating for over 20 years now, and you know, my organization, we're wrapping up our 15th year in existence, and you know, that's the one thing I always tell my people is, you know, you have to have that comfort level. You have to have that trust, or else, you know, you're not going to be successful, and you're not going to be safe. And you know, so that's a major thing. You have to be comfortable in what you're doing.
And you have to trust the person that's standing beside you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, yeah, no, that's awesome that you've got, you know, people like that, you know, that you can work with and, you know, bring that level of comfort and that level of trust and everything. I applaud it.
Thank you.
Golf clap. Golf clap. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Golf clap.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have chatted away your entire first segment.
That is okay. So we're going to go ahead and go to commercial, but when we come back, we're going to have Chad Dye from Erie Shores Paranormal and Midwest Parafest on the line with us. So stay tuned, folks. You're listening to Periscope Uncensored here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, and we will be right back.
Son of a...
Hey, son.
Mother...
Son? What are you doing?
Hey, Mom. I'm getting ready to listen to Periscope Uncensored.
By expanding your vocabulary.
Well, it is uncensored.
Son, the uncensored part of Periscope Uncensored is Jax and I getting down to brass tacks with all aspects of the paranormal. There's no fluff on our show.
So, no off-color commentary?
I didn't say that.
Awesome!
Son?
I just hit my head.
Oh boy, I'll go get you an ice pack. Catch Periscope Uncensored Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
22 minutes past the hour here on Periscope Uncensored on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. I'm your host, Clarissa Vasquez. Jax is still MIA. He's having some technical issues. It's all good. We've overcome and conquered technical issues in the past, and we shall overcome and conquer technical issues again. But in the meantime, we have got a fabulous guest on the line, folks. Let me tell you. We have got Mr. Chad Dye from Midwest Parafest and Erie Shores Paranormal on the line with us. So, Chad, welcome to Periscope.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is our pleasure. So before we get into this big event, why don't you tell our listeners just a little bit about you and about Erie Shores Paranormal?
Okay, well, Erie Shores Paranormal is a paranormal investigative team out of Monroe, Michigan. It was founded in 2007. I've been a part of it and now lead investigator since 2011. We do, residential homes, we do historic locations, businesses, whatever, and we do it all for free.
Right.
Because none of us are experts in the field, and we just want to help people. And that's who Erie Shores Paranormal is about. That's who we are and what we're about. But we also love to go to all these different conventions and, festivals that celebrate the paranormal and all the high strangeness and weirdos. And so we became involved with the Toledo Yacht Club because we were called in to investigate. And after all the data and the evidence that we collected, we showed it to at Midwest Parafest. But her and Nick are really, stretching people's beliefs in the paranormal from all the work they've been doing, being locked down in a location for 72 hours.
Right.
Being tired and hungry and, just constantly researching and investigating. And to top it off, she's a heck of a nice person.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Now, how many guests are you anticipating at this event?
It's relatively small. But last year, I think we had about 300 paying participants. And last year we had a VIP ghost hunt that sold out. This year we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to have a VIP dinner after the conference where you can sit at a table with one of these, celebrities or investigators or whatever, and we'll have a cocktail hour afterwards where you can just mingle with, all of our speakers.
Outstanding. And ticket prices start at what are the ticket ranges?
Right now for the conference by itself, they're $45.
That's not bad.
And limited tickets for the VIP dinner are $60. And
Okay.
I think those prices will go up at the door the day of.
Right.
So it's always a good idea to get your tickets early.
Now, is that
And this
$60
tax
in
season-
addition to the 45, or is that does that 60 include general admission to the conference?
No, it's a completely separately ticketed dinner. And we learned that from last year. The ghost hunt sold out way early, and people who hadn't heard of the event didn't get an opportunity. So we are limiting tickets to the VIP dinner, and we'll keep that right around 70, 75 people. So it's going to be a more intimate event. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not standing in line waiting to talk to somebody.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. I've done events, where they've had a VIP event and there was no limit on the VIP tickets, and that VIP event was so crowded. Uh, I mean, it was standing room only, and it was just chaotic. And even though I was one of the VIPs, I bugged out after the first 30 minutes. I'm like, I can't do this. There's just way too many people here, and I'm like, they're not here to see me anyway. They're here to see, Grant Wilson and the Booth brothers and stuff like that. They don't care about little old me. Although at that same event, they had me um, booked to speak at the same time as John Zaffis, and because there were two different speaking halls at this event, and my lecture was standing room only, and his was just a trickle, which blew me away. And and I
That's
started
crazy.
people are walking up, and shaking my hand afterwards, and I'm like, why are you here and not across the hall? And they're like, it was your subject matter. It was your lecture topic. We wanted to learn more about this, and I'm like, wow, okay. It's like they put me up against John Zaffis, and and I, for lack of a better term, my show sold out. Uh, so it
And see,
was it was crazy.
it doesn't matter who the person is. Sometimes it is the content. And everybody loves John Zappis.
Yeah. And
But
I
a lot
went
of
out.
people have seen him before.
I went out that afternoon afterwards, and had a cigarette with him, and I'm like, surprised the heck out of me, man. And he's like, I take no offense at all. He said, if I wasn't speaking at the same time you were, I would have been in there listening to what you had to say. So, like,
See,
I
that's
was very,
impressive.
very honored and humbled. But, uh,
Absolutely.
but again, it's, because, Mr. Zaffis is obviously a much bigger name in the field than I am. But people, they were crowding in to hear what I had to say. And, and apparently they liked it too, because I sold out of books that weekend too, which was,
That's fantastic.
that's almost unheard of. But yeah, so kudos to you for this event though, Chad. I mean, this is, again, I'm kicking myself in the butt for not stumbling on this sooner, and contacting you saying, hey, can you put me on your roster? Because this looks like a stand-up event, and maybe next year. Maybe next year I'll be like, hey, Chad, put me on
There's
film.
always 2020,
That's right. There's
right?
always 2020. And so I'm looking forward to hearing the feedback, from people that are attending this event, because again, I saw it on a promote your event Facebook page. And oftentimes, people will comment on there, I went to this event in this year, or I went to this event, I just went to this event, or and they'll post photographs and talk about things that they did and experiences that they had. And I'm excited to see the feedback from this event, because this event looks so cool, and I'm so upset that I don't get to go.
Well, see, and we try to build on that feedback. We sent out surveys afterwards, and we monitored all of our posts where people said, oh, they went to this. And really, the only negative feedback we got was that we didn't have enough psychic mediums, and we didn't have enough room for more people in the ghost hunt.
Right.
So, I mean, that's pretty good for a first-time event. And, we learned a lot, and we're building on that. And we want to give people a great experience, because we love having fun at these events ourselves, and taking in the knowledge that these people have, and connecting with people that are like-minded, even if they might be Bigfoot people or UFO people or ghost people. We all just seem to get along because we're all just that weird.
Yeah. We put the para in paranormal.
We do.
We really do. But we've only got a couple of minutes before our next break. But real quick, where can people go to learn more about this event and purchase tickets?
All of our information is in a dedicated tab on our main website, which is erieshoresparanormal.com.
And that's Erie with one E, right? It's not EER, it's ERIE.
Correct.
Yeah, Erie
Plus, we're on
Shores.
Facebook.
Yep.
So you could look us up on Facebook at Midwest Parafest. Erie Shores Paranormal is also on Twitter. At Shores Erie is our handle. And Erie Shores Paranormal has a Facebook page. Our Toledo Yacht Club Ghost Hunts has a page. We share all the information on all of our social media.
That's cool. That's really, social media is really a great way to get that information out there and, let people know what's going on. I don't know. I don't remember how we did it before social media. I really don't remember. I remember we had a website, but, before the likes of Facebook, really, Facebook and Twitter, it's like, how did we advertise? How did we promote? I don't remember. It's, social media
It was a
is
real
just
trick because you're handing out flyers and
yeah.
going to everybody else's events, handing out information, leaflets or whatever. Yeah, it was very difficult.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, find them on Facebook, find them on Twitter. Go to their website, erieshoresparanormal.com, and look them up. That's where you can buy your tickets. That's where you can learn the where and the when of the event. And I know the guest lineup is on their Facebook page. But with that, it is time for our break. And so when we come back, we're going to have more with Chad talking about the event, and maybe we'll talk about some paranormal stuff while we're at it. So stay tuned, folks. You're listening to Periscope Uncensored here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. We'll be right back. 45 minutes past the hour here on Periscope Uncensored on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Alabama. I'm your host, Clarissa Vasquez. Jax is not with us right now, but we're hoping he'll join us soon. You gotta love those technical difficulties. They always seem to happen on show nights. Never fails. But we are still talking to our fabulous guest, Mr. Chad Dye from Erie Shores Paranormal and Midwest Parafest. Chad, thanks for being on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, let's talk a little bit about you for a minute. We've been talking about the event and the history of Erie Shores Paranormal, but I'm dying to know because you've been doing this for a while now. What got you into this field?
Like a lot of people, I guess I started out watching the ghost hunting shows. I was actually more intrigued with UFO and alien contact stuff, but the ghost hunting shows came out, and I was somewhat intrigued. Never believed in ghosts or the boogeyman or anything like that. And then watching these shows and seeing some of the evidence they were coming up with just made me scratch my head and go, wow, can this really be real? Because I'm quite the skeptic. And then I met some people that were part of a team, and I said, can I come along? And it's been history since then. I've experienced all kinds of things I can't explain. I have a photo that has been looked into by photo analysis people that they can't explain. I've been touched. I've heard my name. I've gotten great EVPs. And it's just something, I don't know if we'll ever find all the answers until we get to where they are, but It's something I'm pretty emphatic about.
Well, and that was going to be one of my questions. Do you think we'll find, the concrete methodology for communication? Do you think we'll find those answers within our lifetime?
I think, and I'll paraphrase, I think Tesla said it best when he said, when we stop looking to science for answers, we'll learn more than they've learned in a decade.
Right.
Because guys like Edison and Tesla and, Einstein, they all believed that energy cannot be created or destroyed, and we just go somewhere else. And as paranormal investigators, we're trying to figure out where that energy goes, and how
Right.
can an energy that doesn't have a mouth or a voice box, how can they communicate with us? How does this stuff happen?
Right.
How can I be touched on the shoulder from beyond? Is it interdimensional? Is it a time slip?
Yeah.
So many questions.
Yeah, and it really brings in, the interweaving between science and the metaphysical. When you
Absolutely.
start looking at, inner dimensions or, and things like that. Um, and I am a huge fan of, Einstein and Tyson. Actually, I'm a big fan of Tyson. And my co-host on another show, Chris Carr, is a huge fan of Tesla. And so, for you to paraphrase Tesla right there, that's like I've heard that line before. Um, and but there is some truth to that. And we really need to start thinking outside the box with this. But at the same time, it's my personal belief that, we need to, in order to be viewed upon as credible, we need to try to follow the scientific method as closely as possible, do our very best, to to make it as scientific as we can in order to have it, accepted. Do you agree with that, or?
Well, I do to some degree because, we try and use scientific methods to prove or disprove something happening.
Right.
Every orb photo isn't, your dead grandmother.
Right.
It can be dust. Not every broken radio is going to capture a spirit voice. We try and use scientific methods to prove or disprove this stuff. The problem is, in the science world, you have to be able to recreate the event to have it considered proven or disproven.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't do that. We have to be at the right place at the right time.
Right.
You could go to one haunted location 100 times in a row and never get the same spirit voice, or you may get nothing, or you'll get a knock one day and the next time you won't. We just can't make this stuff happen.
Now, what are your thoughts on contributing factors such as lunar phase or geomagnetic activity or solar flares?
I am a complete dunce when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I do believe, the moon and its gravitational pull or whatever lack of from our Earth, has an effect on our tides. That's scientifically proven.
Mm-hmm.
So us as humans being 70+% water, wouldn't it have an effect on us? Talk to any EMT or police officer or firefighter.
Right.
They'll tell you, it's full moon, it's going to be a crazy night. That's not just coincidence. So I tend to believe, or I lean toward the belief that yes, maybe it can have an effect.
Yeah. And, those are, some of the theories that that my organization, we try to work with those theories, to see just how much they do or don't, factor in, when we do capture data that could lead toward, paranormal presence. And, whether it's extraterrestrials or cryptozoological or ghostology, if you will, we try to include that, with our data, to see if there is a correlation, because a lot of people and a lot of investigators do believe that those factors, can play in, because, the lunar phase can have an impact on human behavior, on the living, on animals, so why wouldn't it impact, spectral behavior or extraterrestrial behavior or cryptozoological behavior? And the same thing, with solar flares. When there's a lot of solar flares, people tend to be a little crazier, and geomagnetic activity. Animals. Before, during, and after earthquakes and such. Animal behavior changes, and so for us, those are things that we look into and try to see. Is there in fact a correlation, or is it strictly speculation?
Well, I think that's important too. I mean, as an investigator, we record all that information just in case
Hmm.
maybe it had some effect. But when you look at it honestly, if it's affecting an animal who really acts off instinct, where us as humans, higher forms of mammals, we have free will and we're thinkers and we don't just react. If you really delve into it, those kinds of reactions to, say, solar flares or earthquakes, that's primal.
Hmm.
And I think it's hard for somebody with our higher intelligence, no matter how stupid we are, it's hard to look at something like that in a primal sense.
Right.
And that's why, as researchers and investigators, that's important to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Now, do you do a lot of residential cases, or do you primarily do business locations, or do you do a combination of both, or does it just depend on who asks for your help?
Well, it does depend on who asks for our help. Um, Typically, it's a private residence, but who doesn't like to go to the famous haunted location, and do, the public stuff? But yeah, our main focus is helping people regardless of the location. We have in the past investigated a cemetery because a child died of brain cancer when he was like 2 or 3 years old, and grandma visited the grave, 2 or 3 times a week, and she could swear she was being visited by the ghost of her grandchild. So we actually investigated the cemetery. So that was kind of weird for us. We try to stay typically in a business or a private residence kind of location.
And can I ask if you guys obtained any credible data at that cemetery?
We did not, but the medium that was with us
Hmm.
was narrating all kinds of things that she was experiencing in the cemetery.
Hmm.
But we didn't get any kind of direct response from this child. No video or photo proof,
Hmm.
no audio proof.
Right. Now,
It's hit and miss.
right. Well, just as with any location, it's going to be hit or miss. Um, do you guys do cemeteries frequently? Uh, do you think that that cemeteries hold a high spectral value, if you will?
My personal opinion, and this is not the opinion of my team or anybody else,
Right.
um, I think a cemetery is for the living,
Hmm.
to remember the dead.
Hmm.
And anytime I go into a cemetery, whether it's for a funeral, a burial or whatnot, I try to be the most respectful.
Hmm.
I try not to step on the actual gravesite. I try and walk in
Right.
between. I don't want to walk over somebody's grave.
Right.
Um, and I think if somebody's hanging out in a graveyard, they're in the wrong place. They should be hanging out at the house they grew up in or hanging around their family members. I don't think if I passed on and became some kind of spirit that I'd hang out near my grave. How depressing would that be?
Right. Right. I know that, with my organization, we will occasionally go to a cemetery, simply for training purposes, just because, it kind of gets you in that mindset, and it's really good, to practice. You're among the empty shells, if you will, but, you are among the dead, and, dark, kind of creepy, and it kind of gets you in the right mindset. And it's good for training purposes. That's the approach that I take with my organization. Um,
Well,
we don't.
and I would never fault somebody for going to a cemetery,
Mhm.
because there's all kinds of cemeteries across this country that claim to be haunted. Look at Bachelor's Grove. Look at that great photo that was taken there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the cemetery with the children's playground. way at the back of it. That's supposed to be haunted. I wouldn't mind going to those places, but I think most of all, be respectful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's not necessarily the departed that you're disrespecting, when you're misbehaving in a cemetery. It's the living. It's the people that, come there to remember their families, and if you're out there being verbally abusive or being destructive, or, walking on, somebody's loved one, it's offending the living people.
I agree.
And it could be offending the people who have departed. I don't know. I don't know how I would feel if somebody walked on my grave. I never gave it much thought. Um, so that's really cool that you guys were able to go and do that, though. And when you went there and utilized the psychic medium that had the communication, were you able to put the grandmother's mind at ease and kind of help her process and move on herself?
Well, I think she was disappointed that we didn't capture any direct responses.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get any good photos. You get one picture with an orb in it, and she wants to blow it up, and now she thinks she can see the kid's face in that orb, and she was happy with our investigation. She was disappointed that we didn't have more evidence. She wanted to see something.
Right.
And we couldn't create that for her. But we worked very closely with her for a long time, and she's actually the person that got us the gig at the yacht club. Because she was talking to the manager, she was going to rent the ballroom for a fundraising event, and said, "Oh, this place is haunted. We should call these people," and that's how we got in there.
Awesome.
But yeah, she was disappointed. Some
Yeah.
clients are.
Yeah, that happens
Sometimes
a lot.
it takes a repeat trip.
Yeah, definitely. But on that note, it is time for our top of the hour break. But when we come back, we're going to have more from Chad Dye with Erie Shores Paranormal and Midwest Parafest. So stay tuned, folks. You're listening to Periscope Uncensored on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. We'll be right back after this message from NPR. 5 minutes past the hour here on Periscope Uncensored on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Alabama. I'm your host, Clarissa Vasquez. Joining me this evening is our fabulous guest, Mr. Chad Dye from Erie Shores Paranormal and Midwest Parafest. Welcome back, Chad.
Yay. Thank you.
Yay. So this event that you're holding is going to be, oh, wow, music. This event that you're holding is going to be at the Toledo Yacht Club. And you've investigated the yacht club before. What has been, some of your best experiences at this location?
Well, the great thing is it's still an operating business.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to rent a boat slip, you could. They have a den bar that you could frequent. They have a restaurant that's operating out of there. So, in the summer, they have a pool. You can bring your family. You don't even have to have a boat to be a member of the yacht club.
Mm-hmm.
But members, the Commodores, the staff, everyone seems to have a story of something that's happened to them when they were there alone that they can't explain. Whispers in their ear, shadows, actually seeing full-bodied apparitions. There was a story where a couple came in to meet with the manager. They were the only 3 people in the building. They wanted to rent the ballroom for a wedding reception or something. They went upstairs and looked around. And they said, "Oh, it's very beautiful. We liked it. Who is the lady in the yellow dress?" And they all freaked out because there was nobody else in the building, and those people ended up not renting the ballroom. The manager's son has had multiple conversations with what he says is a young boy spirit named Jacob, who resides in the building. The manager has seen full-bodied apparitions, and she's the biggest scaredy cat of all.
Wow.
So, we've all had our own personal experiences, whether it's a cold spot or being touched, hearing your name called. Class A EVPs, spirit box interactions, and from the Kling brothers from Ghost Lab, Brad and Barry Kling. They were actually at our event last year and were part of the celebrity ghost hunt. And Barry, was it Brad or Barry? It was Brad. Was in the ladies' restroom, and these TV paranormal people, they go to hundreds of places and investigate. He was leaning over to set down a piece of equipment, and nobody was behind him, and somebody tugged on his belt loop with such force, he said it was the greatest personal experience he'd ever had at any haunted location.
Wow. Wow, that's really cool.
I mean, there's lots of stuff going on there.
It sounds like, the activity really runs the gamut.
And we normally run our public ghost hunts from March or April till November.
So you tend to run them in the summertime then?
Yeah, I mean, there are times when we're investigating in the attic and just standing there looking through a camera, you have sweat dripping off your elbows. Or in the wintertime, you wish you had a parka,
Right.
But we've been there for almost 4 years doing public ghost hunts to raise money for that location. And I don't think we've had one bad review, and everybody has a great time.
That's
People
outstanding.
walk away with their own personal experiences.
That's outstanding. And it's great that you guys are doing that as a fundraiser for the historic location. You're not doing it for personal gain or profit. It's really to benefit the historic preservation of the location, which in my opinion, as a big history nerd, I think that's phenomenal.
None of us want to be, on TV. We don't want to be famous. We work hard at getting our name out there in association with the club because it is a historic location. And, the building needs a lot of work. It's over 110 years old. And, they can't always afford everything. And we're very proud to say that, we've contributed, a substantial amount of money to help them repair things, improve things, and make sure it's still an operating club. And that's important to us. None of us want to be famous like that. We're not trying to, get our own TV show or, who doesn't want to be rich, but that's not going to happen.
Right.
One of the big kudos though is that while we were doing the yacht club investigations, after just our first year being there, TAPS came in, ghost hunters. They came in, somehow they heard about it, and the production people called the club and said, we're coming in. And it was in season 11, episode 4, Children in the Attic, if anybody's interested in watching that.
Okay. And, I stopped watching the paranormal TV shows a long time ago, which most of our listeners already know why. But did they, so I have not seen that episode. Did they capture anything credible?
I believe they did. There's 2 pieces of evidence. One they talked about, one they kind of brushed under the rug, which was more credible to me than some of the other junk they show on TV. They did capture a male whisper up in the attic just during a general conversation. They weren't even investigating. The name of the spirit that the former manager's son was interacting with was Jacob. And, everybody wants to look for Jacob when they go to the attic. So Jason and Steve are in the attic just talking about bees or something. And a male spirit made his presence known by saying, I'm not Jacob. So
Wow.
here's a spirit saying, I'm not Jacob.
Right.
And he's saying, I know people are here looking for Jacob.
Wow.
So that was pretty incredible. And then they had the little boy, his name is Hunter, who's been interacting with Jacob. They had him in the ballroom asking questions, and he felt a tingle or a touch on the back of his neck, and then the meters started going off. But they never gave any kind of credibility to that. But that's what happens to us all the time during investigations. You get 2 or more incidences that correlate with one another, and you've got to think it's a little more than coincidence.
Right. When you've got, a personal experience that's somewhat validated, by equipment, you really need to look into that and, see, does the timeline on the data line up? Yes, the equipment went off at the same time. The little boy had felt the tingles on the back of his neck. And, it's like, okay, these 2 pieces of data line up. And then if you can catch an EVP in conjunction with that, you're golden.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Wow. Wow. I'm still kicking myself. I want to be up there now. I want to investigate this yacht club. It's like, maybe I need to talk to
let me personally invite you to come anytime, and you could be a guest speaker and you can investigate with us, or if you just want to come and do it by yourself, we can try and make that happen.
That would be awesome. I will definitely take you up on that. Maybe I'll get my team together. I'll send out a blast email going, who wants to go to Toledo? And they're all going to go now. Because it's cold up there.
Right now it is.
Yeah. That's, most people feel bad for us in Colorado in the wintertime, but you guys are really getting nailed this year with the cold temperatures and stuff.
Oh, I know. The warmest place in the country was like the Keys of Florida. It was like 68 degrees.
Right.
Everywhere else was, really cold in comparison to past years.
Yeah. Yeah. Up here.
That's okay. It'll be almost 50 on Monday. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mother Nature is swing in 4 days.
Mother Nature's a little bipolar right now.
Oh yeah. She's off her meds for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little bit. But, here in Colorado, it's actually been somewhat mild. We've had a little more snow this winter than we have in past winters. But as far as the, really frigid sub-zero temperatures, we haven't had that yet, knock on wood.
Right. But isn't it true in Colorado you can almost like ski all year round if you go high enough?
In some places, yes. There are some places that do get snow in July. And, there are places where you can certainly cross-country ski. As far as downhill, no, that's pretty much, November through late April, as far as downhill skiing. But, cross country, there are places where you can cross country year round if you're willing to go up that high. You got to go up past timberline though to get to those areas, and the air is just so thin up there. That's why they call it timberline, because the air is so thin, even the plants won't grow. But some people do it. They'll go up there with their cross country skis, and they'll do a little trek up there above timberline. But
more power to them.
Yeah.
Now, we went to the Stanley Hotel out in Estes, Colorado, a few years back, and that is so beautiful out there.
It's gorgeous.
It's almost enough to make us want to move there. It's just so beautiful. Do you ever get tired of the beauty? It's just, I see that every day.
No, never. Me personally, no. I love my mountains. When I was in the service, I was how do I phrase this? Fortunate enough to spend 4 years in Texas while I was in the service, and then after I got out of the service. And I say fortunate sarcastically. And it was so flat and so hot and so desolate. As at first opportunity I had, I came home to my mountains. It was, and I don't take them for granted.
Yeah, it's so different because, like, I spent a lot of time out in New Mexico
Hmm.
and, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, a couple
Yeah.
other smaller towns.
Hmm.
And, you know, it's nicer in the higher elevations,
Hmm.
but it's just so flat and brown.
Yeah.
So when you go to some place like Colorado, it's like, wow, everything's green and lush, and look at the rivers and look at the mountains. It's just such a big, huge difference.
Yeah. And we do have, the mighty Colorado, which is famous, for carving the Grand Canyon and everything. And, people from the Midwest, who are used to seeing, like the Mississippi River or the Missouri River, or, they come out and they see the mighty Colorado and they're like, man, that's nothing. It's like, you know, and it's like, yeah, but you really don't know how deep that water is. you know, out in the Midwest, they have, stretches of like the Mississippi where it's a mile wide, and, the Colorado, it's just a couple 100 feet wide, but you really have no idea how deep it is. And, during drought years, they find cars and stuff, from bygone eras that, somehow
But
found their way
in
into.
addition to that, though, look at the thousands of years it took to carve the Grand Canyon, and look how wide it was at one point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It has
definitely.
sought its lowest level, and it's gotten there, and you know, it's got to be a strong river if it's cut through rock like that,
Oh, yeah,
right?
definitely.
It's not just some muddy mile wide stream
Right.
like the Mississippi.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the biggest complaint that I hear. People are they come to Colorado and they're like, "Oh, I love the mountains, but the river was really disappointing." Like, you're not a
Well, you
fisherman,
can't
are
please
you?
everybody.
It's like, you're not a fisherman then. If you were a fisherman, that river would not be disappointing. So, but it is time for our next break. But when we come back, we'll have our closing remarks with Chad. So stay tuned, folks. You're listening to Periscope Uncensored on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, and we'll be right back. 23 minutes past the hour here on Periscope Uncensored on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Alabama. I'm your host, Clarissa Vasquez, and we are in our last segment with our fabulous guest, Mr. Chad Dye from Midwest Parafest and Erie Shores Paranormal. And Chad, we kind of got off topic a little bit. We kind of stopped talking about, ghosts and the event and everything, started talking about mountains and rivers and stuff. But, that's the beauty of live radio. Anything goes as long as we're not dropping F-bombs on the air.
It's all fun. It's all good.
Yeah. So, and you were gracious enough to extend an invitation, to me, to come up there, to the yacht club and investigate, or, be a guest speaker. I'm going to, do the same and extend an invitation to you guys to come out here and investigate with us, because there's a lot more to Colorado than just the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park. We've got a lot of great things. Manitou Springs, Colorado is probably one of the most haunted towns I have ever been to. In my book, it ranks right up there with Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, as far as haunted locations. We've got the Hotel Colorado in Glenwood Springs, which also has Rose Hill Cemetery, where gunslingers Doc Holliday and Kid Curry are buried. And I personally don't believe Doc Holliday is there, but I do have two separate EVPs that I believe to be Kid Curry. So, you and your team, you guys are more than welcome to come out here and investigate with us, and, and see the mighty Colorado.
In all of its deep,
Yes.
not so wide glory.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. So, getting back to Midwest Parafest, when is the event taking place this year?
Last year we did it in April, and weather-wise, it was kind of dicey. It was the end of spring break, so flights were expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to move it. And some people might think this is bad, but it's the weekend of Mother's Day. It's going to be May 11th,
Okay.
but it's on Saturday. It's not on Sunday. You could bring your mom to celebrate Mother's Day and see the convention and have the VIP dinner, or you can just come to the convention and VIP dinner and then go visit with mom on Sunday.
Right.
But yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
May 11th. Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I said that's cool. You know, bring
Yeah,
bring
I
your mom
mean,
out to chase some ghosts.
why not? Or hear about Bigfoot, or
Right.
talk about Ouija boards with Robert Murch, or talk about Jack the Ripper and H.H. Holmes with Jeff Mudgett.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, that is so cool. And again, general admission tickets are $45. And if you want
correct,
to be part of the VIP party, that's an additional 60.
correct.
And
And
those
the
tickets,
VIP dinner
go
is
ahead.
limited.
Yes. And those tickets
So
can be purchased at erieshoresparanormal.com.
that's correct.
Awesome. And so, as far as vendors go, is it just going to be, the speakers having tables, or do you have additional vendors that are going to be there?
We have additional vendors on our website. You can click on speakers and see who the speakers are and read a bio about them. And if you click on their picture, it'll take you to their page to learn more about them. We also have a vendor tab where you can see everyone who's coming to be a vendor, and those links are also linked to their page. So whatever it is they're selling or doing, you can read more up about them. We're very proud of the fact that we do that for them, because who wants to come to an event and not know who's going to be there? So we're very proud that we put that out there, tell you who our vendors are. We've got equipment people, we've got jewelry people, metaphysical people. We've got, of course, all of our psychic mediums that'll be there, in addition to the meet and greet table for all of our speakers.
Outstanding. So it sounds like there's a little something for everybody there.
Well, there really is. We'll have food trucks in the parking lot. We may have some other special appearances that we haven't secured yet out in the parking lot. Last year we had the Mystery Machine, the original Hanna-Barbera Studios Mystery Machine. So that was pretty cool. And depending on who our sponsors are going to be, depending on who our sponsors are going to be, we might have some sponsors out in the parking lot as well. And we're always looking for sponsors, anybody that wants to be advertised as being part of this event. Without our sponsors, this event would never happen.
Right.
The talent costs money and stuff like that, but we do this for everybody. And anybody that wants to become a sponsor of this event, you could become a kickoff sponsor for as little as $150, and your name will be on the official event T-shirt. Your name will be on banners. We'll advertise you on all of our social media, and you can click on the tab that says sponsors to get more information on how to become a sponsor. But again, without our sponsors, an event like this would never happen.
Definitely. Wow. And man, I'm still just kicking myself in the backside. It's like, why didn't I see this sooner? And I try to get on the bill for this, because this is like my cup of tea. I've done the big events. I like doing the smaller events, but again, this event that you've got going on this year is a powerhouse event, and I'm just in awe, and I'm mad at myself. But that's all right. There's always next year.
Well, you could buy a ticket and come out.
Yeah,
you
I
could attend
could.
the event.
I could if I had the money. But
Right.
these things, when I'm doing my events and stuff, I try to plan at least 6 months out, so that I can, budget and get a really good deal on airfare.
Yeah, airfare is the big killer, I know.
Yeah. And But I think my favorite airline flies to Toledo. They don't fly everywhere, but I think they fly to Toledo. I think I actually had a layover
Yeah,
there once. So,
they have a Toledo Express,
hmm
but most of the people that we fly into Metro Detroit and
oh,
drive them down.
oh, okay. Okay, that's something to
Now,
keep
of
in
course,
mind for next
if
year.
right, and if you're just part of the general public, you might want to look into, because sometimes it's cheaper to fly directly into Toledo in that express, airport, because once you fly into Detroit, now you got to rent a car or Uber,
Right.
and that could be so expensive.
Right. Right.
So the Toledo Express might be a good deal because it's not really that far away from our event,
Awesome. That
and we
is,
have a hotel. We have a hotel that's only 8 minutes away that we block off, a number of rooms to keep the rate cheap for anybody coming from out of town. It's a Fairfield Inn by Marriott, and we worked with them last year. It's a great location. Like I said, only like a 8-minute drive. It's perfect.
wow. That's great. And so close to the venue. I mean, guys, you really can't beat this. I, you know, powerhouse lineup, great vendors, it's going to be a great experience plus the VIP event on top of it. Um, you know, you can't beat this. If you are able and willing, I encourage you guys, go buy your tickets. Go to eriessoresparanormal.com and, get your tickets, because especially if you want to attend the VIP event, because those tickets are limited. And
Yeah,
yeah,
those
I
will
imagine
not be
they're
sold
gonna.
at the door.
Yeah, I imagine it's gonna sell out. So,
We're
that's
hoping.
yeah. Yeah, as long as the weather cooperates, right?
There's always that.
Yeah.
One of our very first ghost hunts at the Toledo Yacht Club that was open to the public, we
hmm
had to cancel it because of flooding. Because
Oh
there was
dear.
so much rain previously, we couldn't, even in pickup trucks, we couldn't drive to the building. It was completely surrounded by water.
Oh no. Was there flood damage at the yacht club itself?
Only in the basement they had to replace the carpet, but that's minimal, but it's still damaging.
Right.
But it was very disappointing. We actually had to refund money and or offer them to reschedule for the next time. But yeah, sometimes the weather happens and we can't control that. But for now, May looks pretty good as far as the weather goes. Hopefully, Mother Nature gets back on her meds.
Yeah. Hopefully. Are we in an El Nino or La Nina year? I don't remember. It's crazy. You never know.
That's so confusing.
Yeah. Those weather patterns and the shifting of the poles, and it's crazy. But
And now
and
global warming.
yeah. Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. You never know what you're going to get. But so one more time for our listeners, how can they find you guys on social media?
We are everywhere on social media. Erie Shores Paranormal, that's the team I belong to. We're putting on this event. We have a Facebook page. Midwest Parafest has a Facebook page. Toledo Yacht Club Ghost Hunts has a Facebook page. We have a website where all of that information can be found, eriessoresparanormal.com. And we are also on Twitter at Shores Erie. That's our handle. And we advertise on there too.
Awesome. And for in preparation for this event, is there anything that our listeners, if they're considering attending this event, is there anything they need to know in advance, like if they want to attend the ghost hunt, should they bring equipment, or just bring comfortable shoes, or what do they need to know about this event in advance?
Well, this year we're not going to do a ghost hunt.
Okay.
Instead, we've opted for the VIP dinner,
Right.
and meet and mingle. So, if you have a bag to put your goods in from the vendors, you might want to bring that. We will have food and beverages available on site. So all you need to bring is your enthusiasm and some pocket change.
Okay. Pocket change is always good.
Yeah,
I,
you might want
I,
to buy a beverage or food.
yeah. I tend to bring a little more than pocket change though, because I get vendor crazy. And if I'm a vendor, I like to barter. I'll be like, I I'm selling books at my table. I'll trade you a book for, like an autographed picture or one of your books or, whatever
Right. And
merchandise
we
I'm
have some
interested
great vendors too, because we have everything from, T-shirts to creepy looking hand painted dolls, metaphysical stones made into jewelry. We've got the psychic mediums. There's so much for everybody. Even if you don't care about the speakers, which who wouldn't care about the speakers? But when a speaker is up that is talking about something you don't care to miss, you could shop the vendors. And, it's going to be 3 floors of just fantastic fun.
Outstanding. Yeah, guys, get your tickets and get them quick because this event, I'm willing to bet this event's going to sell out and it's going to be a great time. And you can probably bet that my name will be on the bill for next year. I'm just kind of, I'm like using my sixth sense abilities that I don't have. So go and check it out and give me a report back so I know what I'm walking into for next year.
Absolutely.
And and again, if you've got questions or whatever, hit up, the Erie Shores Paranormal team. If you've got questions about the event, can I bring my dog or whatever. Are you going to have scary clowns there? Because I have a clown phobia. Hit them up, ask them, ask them these questions, and and Chad, you laugh, but I actually suffer from claustrophobia, which is a fear of clowns. And I did an event once where there were people dressed as very frightening clowns, and I actually had to put signs on my vendor table saying, "Please be respectful, clown phobia at this table." And
Wow.
for the most part they were pretty respectful, but there were others that were like deliberately, they 2 of them, they put on knee pads and they would go, running down the aisle and slide right in front of my table. And we actually
That's
had
terrible.
to call security and have them removed just because I was eating Xanax like candy. I'm like, I can't do
I
this.
promise there will not be scary clowns.
Awesome. Yeah, that was, I haven't done that event since just because it was such a horrible experience. But yeah, guys, if you've got questions.
It sounds like Scarefest.
That's exactly what it was.
I can imagine if you have a phobia about anything, you're going to find it at a Scarefest.
It was Scarefest, actually.
Oh. No surprise.
Yeah. It was Scarefest. And it was several years ago, and I have not been a speaker at Scarefest since. But it was that was quite the event. But Chad, we want to thank you so much for being on the show and for being such a great guest, even though we got off topic a little bit. And again, folks, if you've got questions or if you're interested in attending the event, find them. Go to ErieShoresParanormal.com, get your tickets or ask questions if you've got them. And Chad guarantees no scary clowns. So,
No
for
scary
people with
clowns.
no scary clowns, you may have an interaction with a ghost, which would totally be worth it. But you go, learn about the haunted history of the location, learn about the history of the location, learn about Bigfoot, get a psychic reading, meet some great people. Oh my gosh. There are going to be some great people there. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. I encourage all of you guys, if you're able, if you're up in the upper Midwest area, make the trip. go to the event. It's gonna be awesome. Not as awesome as if I was there, but it's gonna be awesome. So, Chad, thank you again for just being such a great guest, and good luck with the event. And we'll probably talk here soon. I think we're gonna have you back for a roundtable show probably in the future.
I would love that. I so appreciate you guys having us on your show. We love to get the word out, and we just like talking to cool people. So thanks for having us on, and I'm sure someday we will meet.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. So, again, best of luck with the event. Best of luck with your research, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you.
So, Chad Dye, ladies and gentlemen. And again, you can find out more about his research and more about the upcoming event, the Midwest Parafest, by going to eriesshoresparanormal.com. And that's Erie with one E. So, ERIE Shores, plural. There's an S on there. Paranormal.com. I did post the link in the WBHM-DB.com chat room. And I will post that link again before the show is over. So, click on the link, find out more about the event. It's going to be big. And I did hear from Jax while we were on the air, or actually while we were on our last break. He's still got some technical issues going on, so I don't know if he's going to make it. So the last segment, you guys may be stuck with me and Kat again. Oh, darn. Because I know that's why all of our listeners tune in, is to hear Jax. But he may be able to overcome those technical issues. We don't know. Don't know. It could happen. And so I'm so excited about the Midwest Parafest, though, guys. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart when I say I'm bummed that I'm not going to be part of this event this year, because it really is. It's my cup of tea. And I'm so happy that we were able to have, Chad on the line and, to tell us about the event and about some of the speakers. We didn't even get to all of the speakers. He briefly touched on the fact that Jeff Mudgett is going to be there. And guys, if you don't know who Jeff Mudgett is, you are missing out. We've had Jeff Mudgett on Periscope in the past, and he is the great-great-grandson of H.H. Holmes, who is the very first known serial killer here in the United States. And it is also highly speculated based on data that's been uncovered, here in the last couple of decades, that he may also be Jack the Ripper. So Jeff Mudgett is a really, really cool guy to talk to. And, he's got a lot to say, about his lineage and about, the very compelling data that could lead to, his great-great-grandfather possibly being Jack the Ripper. So, just to go and see him is worth it. Just that in and of itself, going to see Jeff, is worth it. Lots of great speakers are going to be at this event. And so, get your tickets, get them before they sell out. eriesshoresparanormal.com. And with that, we have to take our final break of the evening. But when we come back, it's either going to be me and Kat or me and Jax. We'll find out. Stay tuned. You're listening to Periscope Uncensored on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. We'll be right back. 46 minutes past the hour here on Periscope Uncensored on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Alabama. I'm your host, Clarissa Vasquez, and I have Miss Kat with me, riding shotgun for just a few minutes. Jax is overcoming his technical issues, and we're trying to get him on for the last segment so that you guys can hear
the mellow tones of the man called Jax.
So I'm messaging him right now and letting him know, he's actually really bummed, that he has missed out on this show. And so I'm trying to get him on, for the last segment of the show, but
Well, that's because he knew how great that information was going to be. That was a great conversation.
yeah, until we kind of, sidetracked and started
that's okay.
talking about
that was good too.
Yeah.
That was a great guest. And, that Parafest sounds like it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be a powerhouse, Kat.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
It just makes me wish that I had planned ahead also, but, I couldn't this season. So I'm about to hit it. It's going to be rocking. But that's going to be a great kickoff to the Paracon season.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And I have a hard time getting into Toledo from Birmingham. I tried to do that when I was going to another place in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And my husband was like, well, you can't get there from here. And I said, you have to be able to get there. It's a major city. And he said, no, really, you can't. But I would love to be able to go and investigate that yacht club. Mm-hmm. That just sounded so interesting.
Oh, yeah. I would love it. I would love to be able to do that.
Well, you have a standing invitation now.
I do.
How cool is that?
I know. That's awesome. And so I'm thinking I'm going to put it on my calendar for 2020.
I'm thinking I am too. That was something that just sounded like a good time. I hate that they're not going to do an investigation, but the rest of it sounds like a really fantastic experience. And we investigate anyway.
Yeah.
So, that just is not something that I think the average paranormal investigator is going to miss so much.
Mm-hmm. Well, and, maybe in 2020 they'll do the VIP dinner and an investigation. Because a lot of investigators are night owls.
I think so. Well, we have to stay out till the witching hour, right?
Of course.
So, otherwise we miss all the fun evidence.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Even though it's, if I'm on the bill for next year, it's, still a year out, but, going and interacting with, with all of the amazing guests and everything. Oh my gosh.
Well, I tell you, it would really be an honor to be considered for a speaker or even a vendor role in a event like that. And I had to laugh because as soon as you talked about the clowns skating by, sliding by, those clowns who slide at Scarefest are loud. So I knew exactly what you were talking about, and Chad did too.
Yeah.
I think everybody who's ever been knew exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that must have been Scarefest. Well, as a matter of fact, it was.
Yep.
And, my friend Susan actually went to the event with me. And she went and spoke to them and said, can you not see the signs on the table that say clown phobia, stay away? Can you not be respectful? And they essentially told her to go spit up a rope. And so that was when we contacted security, and they were sent somewhere else.
Well, I'm really surprised that they adopted that attitude, because that's unnecessary, and that'll ruin, well, for you, I'm sure it ruined the whole experience.
Yeah. And when I tell people, that I have, claustrophobia, they're like, oh, it's because you saw the movie It, or you read the book It. It's like, no, that's not the reason at all. I actually had a really traumatic experience when I was 3 that involved clowns, and it traumatized me for life. To this day, I can't be I can't be around, grease paint, essentially.
That is just terrible.
Yeah, I struggle at Halloween, with the little trick-or-treaters all done up like clowns and stuff. And even in the 90s, on that show In Living Color, when Damon Wayans would dress up and do Homie the Clown, the bit was funny as heck, but it
Yes.
scared the crap out of me. When he's bopping, he had that stuffed sock, and he's whacking people going, I don't think so. Homie, don't play that. I mean, it was funny, but it scared the crap out of me. I was having nightmares about Homie the Clown.
Oh, that's horrible.
I
have a friend named Tammy. She lives in New Orleans. And you can imagine with the gras and everything that her clown phobia comes into play a lot. Because, you have all the jesters and you have all kinds of other things that go right along with Mardi Gras.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for 2 weeks. all over New Orleans. It's not just down Bourbon Street, right? So
yeah.
I could see that being an issue there too. I don't watch horror movies, and yes, I know I have good friends who are actors in horror movies and good friends who produce horror movies, and I'm so sorry, y'all all know I love you. But I've never seen it. I've never seen any of the other scary movies. People who hide their faces have always made me nervous. Whether it's a mask or grease paint, I want to know who you are. Don't hide. And that still carries over. And it's weird that I was even like that as a kid. That just seems so weird to me. But not so much, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I have tried so many different things to overcome this. I even, hypnosis and hypnosis and metaphysical tactics, like spells and stuff like that. And it's just, nothing seems to work.
That's tragic. My phobia is snakes. And it doesn't matter. I don't even like touching a picture of a snake. So I understand having a phobic reaction, but I think they're all terrible because they limit you.
Kat, I've been trying to. Jax is on Skype, and I've been trying to add him. And can you try to add him?
Let's go over here and see what I can do.
Yeah,
see what kind of magic we can work here.
When I try to add him, it doesn't ring on his end. So we'll see if you can bring him on for like the last 5 minutes of the show. Well, we've only got 3 minutes of the show left, so I hate disappointing our listeners because I know that's
because
why
they all want to hear that voice.
I know they all want to hear that voice.
Those dulcet tones.
I know. That voice that makes all the girls go weak in the knees.
Yep.
So especially when he does the radio voice.
Oh, I know. I love that.
When he does that on purpose too, because he knows it turns their knees to jello. But next week, here on Periscope Uncensored, we're going to have Bob Fountain on the show. And Jax and I will be broadcasting from the same location, from the same room, using my computer. So as long as the hotel Wi-Fi is decent, there will be no technical issues. And it'll all be golden. And of course, tune into Hidden World Paranormal Talk Radio next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, where Chris is going to have Sorceress Cagliostro as his guest. And I do believe Seraphine Hurley from Tripping the Void is going to be co-hosting with him. So that's going to be a good show. Want to thank everybody for tuning in and want to thank Chad Dye from Midwest Parafest and Erie Shores Paranormal for being such an amazing guest. Thank you guys for bearing with me for, doing this without a co-host. Thank you, Kat, for filling in Jax's absence. And, we're working really hard to get his technical issues resolved, folks. I promise you, we are working on it. So hopefully after this week, there will be no more technical issues. Keep listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting for all of your favorite entertainment. And so for Jax, Chris, Kat, the WBHM family of hosts, and myself, have a great evening, everyone, and may all of your ghosts be friendly.